Welcome to the Guide to Movies podcast with Joe and Sean. My name is Joseph. This is Shaunathy. Sean, how are you doing?
It's Shaunathin, you absolute monster. And I was coming in with this high energy, and just like you always do every week, and you just go so low on me that if anyone's watching on video, I'm struck. I don't know what to do.
Is that Shaunathin with an A-N or an O-N?
That is a great call. No one's ever asked me that before.
E-N.
Just
do something completely random.
Ian would be, that would be a tough one.
Welcome to the Guide to Movies podcast with Joe and Sean. I am Joe. He is Sean. This is episode 55. We are back in our respective states, and we are excited to bring to you this fantastic, nominated for an Emmy podcast. Or something. I don't know.
I mean, every single category had about 10 nominations, so we probably got nominated for an Emmy somewhere.
We got nominated for something and we don't even know it. I did guest for like 10 seconds in a WandaVision episode when I don't know what I'm saying.
That's 5 seconds longer than Don Cheadle, so you're already over the line for that.
So we should mention it. Even Don Cheadle, and we'll get to Emmys, but Don Cheadle's like, guys, I don't get it either. So it's interesting when we get those nominations. Someone said earlier that the Emmys and the Golden Globes swapped this year. And I don't know that I totally believe that. But
that is way too far. I'm actually angry at that. Wow, that is way too far.
Well, let's not get too angry.
There's a few mistakes that the Emmys made, but the Emmys definitely were doing a few more. Have we just forgotten the Golden? Oh boy.
Yeah, I worked very hard to forget the Golden Globes, okay?
That was a tough one for me. Ooh.
I also worked very hard to forget the end of the Oscars, but you remind me of it every week.
My face just reminds you of the Oscars.
Yeah. All right, so we are going to jump into what we've been watching. I almost said what we've been talking. We did talk about Black Widow last week. We both saw it Friday night. Both had, I think you gave it a B, I gave it a 3. I've thought about it a little more, and I may lean closer to the 4-ish.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, it's always tough with me because I don't do halves. But sometimes when I give it a 3, people are like, "Oh, it's at least a 4," and I'm like, "Well, maybe it's a high 3." Like you don't know.
People just don't realize that a B. Like first of all, when I give a movie a B, people are like, "How dare you? I thought this was amazing." And I'm like, a B is really good.
Right.
Like a C is really good. Same with your 4s and 3s, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, a 3 means that I liked it. I at least liked it. I don't know. It varies. Every movie is different, and you can try to compare movie to movie, but there's different genres. There's different things that you're looking for, and sometimes there's different things that just bring a movie down that next grade. But this is not about us defending ourselves. That will be on TikTok later.
Exactly. Oh yeah, we're gonna go on the movie's TikTok for something quite.
I enjoyed it. Just like I enjoyed Gunpowder Milkshake. So I watched this last night. It comes out on Netflix tomorrow. Today the embargo lifted, and actually it's getting a lot of positive reviews, which is pretty cool to see. As I often do, I texted Sean early on and was just like, "Ooh, I don't know how I'm going to feel about this one." For any of you listening out there, no, I don't show Sean screeners. No, I don't give him spoilers or anything. But the one thing with Gunpowder Milkshake that was very interesting to me was I started off thinking I don't know that I'm going to love this. The writing was to me a little bit cheesy at times. And I was like, oh, they're just trying to do a John Wick, which is not totally false, but it is just a lot of fun. The whole movie itself, I had an absolute blast with. And was very pleasantly surprised at, number one, how much action is in it. But number two, Karen Gillan kicks ass. So she's phenomenal. Lena Headey, she was the best that she's been since Game of Thrones, in my opinion. Chloe Coleman, who was from the My Spy film, who I adored in that movie. I thought she was really good. She also, the young girl from My Spy.
I'm so sorry. When you texted me, I guess I just read it as Spy Kids. And so I thought it was the young kid from Spy Kids. And you're like, she looks more grown up. And I'm like, I would fucking hope
I would think so. She's like 35. No, it's the young girl from My Spy with Dave Bautista.
Oh, okay. Oh, no. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, she was really good in it. You have Carla Gugino, Angela Bassett, Michelle Yeoh. It was just a very fun movie. I mean, they set it up for a sequel. I won't get into any details or anything, but it's totally set up for a sequel, which kind of corroborates the news that a couple weeks ago that Netflix was moving forward with a sequel. I'm all for it. It leaves me wanting to know more. Paul Giamatti's also in it, by the way. Not the biggest role, but potentially could be moving forward. It just was a lot of fun. Like it's nice to see a movie like that just again figures out what it is. It knows itself. I have to take a break here because we're getting a lot of comments that are coming in about In the Heights. So I guess when we were talking about TikTok, Luke said, "Good morning, Usnavi," which you said Moose Navi in one of the videos. Yes. And then Kendrick just said, "Vanessa." So yeah, that's happening.
So our fans on TikTok are intersecting with our fans on a podcast, which is a sentence my father always wanted me to say.
He said that last week when I met him.
Yeah,
he was like,
he was really psyched about it.
I hope that your TikTok fans start coming over to your podcast.
Can't imagine those words coming out of his mouth.
But yeah, Gunpowder Milkshake is a really good movie. Highly recommend people see that. Very much enjoyed it. Hits Netflix tomorrow. An odd Wednesday release. Not always the vote of confidence for Netflix films, but I think this one's going to buck that trend.
Netflix is doing this lately, though. They're starting to release like in the middle of the week. I think they're starting to realize that, well, in the summer at least, the time starts to not really exist for, teens who are on their summer vacations. And, this feels like a teen movie, maybe a little bit more mature, but probably something that the, teens will watch and therefore, update themselves on. Now, I'm just wondering, between this film and the Jungle Cruise, is this the beginning of the Giamatti-sance?
I don't think so. I think it's the beginning of the Giamatti fading into the background sans. I think it's just pull a name in and give him a minor role and see what he does with it. But
I'll take that.
not the greatest. But
so I watched the second chapter of the Fear Street series, and I've already watched the first. That would have been weird if I didn't. Now, I did not like the first one. I thought that it was very much like Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, which is sort of fun, but they sort of sort the monsters into basically chapters because it's based on short stories, where it got a little bit too easy to manage and there wasn't enough chaos, and it lightened the suspense.
Is this what you were trying to tell me about categories when I was watching it?
This is exactly what I was trying to tell you about categories when I was watching it, but I didn't have enough sleep, so I just said the word categories to you several times, and I thought you'd understand what I meant.
It all makes sense now, a week later.
Yeah, just give me, yeah, exactly. A week later, just give me less sleep, and then I can handle it. I will say that the next one, which is Fear Street 1978, which is a flashback, basically, because the first one takes place in 1994. This one takes place in 1978. There aren't 17 songs that are from 1978 this time, which will annoy the crap out of people that are watching 1994. But, Fear Street 1978, it's really, it goes into the horror roots a lot more fun. I mean, the setting is a camp. So already it's okay, so they're going to have fun with this. They're going to make it interesting. They make it gory. They make it just really suspenseful. They focus on the characters. They work on them. They set up a story where they're, basically splitting up into different groups and they have to deal with each other in certain ways and how these characters are. I really, really liked this one. There's still a few problems it has. There's still a few plot holes that annoy me, but for the most part, it was really a lot of fun. It's going to be interesting to see Fear Street 1666, which will be the big time flashback. I don't know how they're going to land this plane, especially because 1666 and nothing flies yet. But it's 666. That's fun. Okay. Oh, look at that. Hey, that's something. Okay.
I love that you're trying to tear apart Fear Street. Tune in next week when Math Teacher Movies tackles Little Golden Books.
Hey, come on. Yeah, sure, I'm going after
You know what the problem with the Bernstein Bears was?
That nobody knows how to spell them, and they still don't on any of the covers. It's true.
Oh, my God. Well,
God damn.
It sounds like it's a better movie, and I didn't like the first one that much. but I was intrigued enough to want to see the second one. So I am excited for that. Sean, so we are going to move away from doing like summaries of what you're doing with Awards Watch. We talked about that, so there'll be some fun things coming in the future. But we should talk Emmys because they came out today, and they were interesting. Not a ton of surprises, I would say, but give us kind of the lowdown.
So here's the problem with the Emmys and how there weren't a ton of surprises. It's because I don't know how the voting worked, and I'm going to have to look in on this and do a little bit of research on it. It would kind of like blindsided me today. There it is. But several, and I mean several shows were nominated in each category. Usually nominations are for 5. And then once in a while it's like 6 or 7. But there's some of these that are 10. And then there's some of them that are 5. And I know there's some sort of probably like this voting system, this voting hierarchy that like existed with it that's very complex, actually annoyingly complex, because I know the Oscars have that kind of annoyingly complex sort of voting system. But it was to the point where it's just like, oh, cool, there's no upsets because everything's here. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you literally look at best drama and best comedy, I remember I looked through them and I was like, oh, I'm very happy with no snubs because there's no real like surprising snubs. Now, when we get into the performances, there's a few more snubs. I mean, I would look at like, actually, I'm not even talking about the snubs yet, but one of the big ones for me was one that was surprising but not terribly off base was Girls 5 Eva. It was a Peacock original. Maybe Peacock doesn't quite know what to do with their streaming service, but like promoting it and everything. But this felt like a lock when it's something with Robert Carlock, who did Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, and Tina Fey, who also did Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, basically. And it's something where that should have worked. That should have like maybe snuck its way into the comedies. Once again, though, the comedies are pretty great, except for Emily in Paris got in there, which this was a big one because I'm sort of confused on, well, no, it got into the Globes because of bribes. And so I'm sort of confused on how it got into here and gets no other above the line categories. No other performances or anything, which, hey, I'm cool with, but that just seems like, so why is it in there? What's going on with it? What's the point of that one being there? If we go into, I'm just going to like try to go through as much as I can. When we talk about like the multiple nominations, like I was saying, there was a great reason for that. And it's that so many supporting actors were able to get their nominations in. Ted Lasso, pretty much almost like a large amount of the cast got nominations. Handmaid's Tale, a large amount of the cast got nominations. We see that Pose, MJ Rodriguez, and Billy Porter both got nominations, which they weren't like huge surprises, but it's still really great to see them in there. Another big shout out to Lovecraft Country, who just got canceled and got nominated for drama and several acting nominations. Gene Smart got a nomination for Hacks, but also so did the 2 co-stars. And I have to look their names up because I don't know them that well. And I'm just going to keep on talking until I get there. And it is Hannah Einbinder and Carl Clemens Hopkins, like Hannah Einbinder, like sort of made a name for herself with Hacks. She's sort of the main character, kind of. I mean, she's put in supporting actress because it's Gene Smart. Hello. But Carl Clemens Hopkins had this great arc with that character, and it was so well played. I could go on for a while, but I'm going to just talk about limited series and talk about how stacked limited series is, but some of the weird things there. Now, limited series goes with TV movie. Limited series is, just one season of a television show. TV movie is just a TV movie. TV movie category, that's weird now because, a lot of them are just shown on Netflix. A lot of them are shown on HBO Max. So what is a TV movie, which one is not? Sylvie's Love is probably going to win best television made for television movie. But that should have been like considered a theatrical release because it was released on Amazon. It seems a little bit odd. If I go further down, though, just to talk about the limited series for a second, we have I May Destroy You, Mayor of Easttown, The Queen's Gambit, The Underground Railroad, and WandaVision. That's insane. That is 5 ones where I really don't know what's going to hit it. I think Queen's Gambit has like the higher level, the high ground, but all of those are so good. And I just want to talk about one more thing, and the controversy is going to come out, and it's going to be nuts, and it's with Hamilton. A lot of the stars of Hamilton got nominated for an Emmy this year, for a performance they did 4 years ago that was recorded 4 years ago that was recently released on Disney Plus. Do I have an issue with this many of these stars of Hamilton getting nominated once again for an Emmy, like after 4 years? Tough call. I kind of don't, because they're that talented. I mean, it's there. Should this be considered a television movie? I just don't think so. I think this is a live performance. I think this is, you could call this a comedy variety special. They have those. They like not a comedy variety special, but you could call it like a live taping. They have those things. This should not be a TV movie. And if it was considered a TV movie and so many actors and actresses were nominated for it, then why didn't it get nominated for TV movie? They needed that, but that didn't really work. Okay, I think that's all of the gripes I had off the top of my head. Did I miss anything? Was there anything you saw?
So I kind of have a different take on the number of people from the same shows that were nominated, especially in the supporting lead actress for drama series. I think it's 3 for The Crown and 4 for The Handmaid's Tale or something. And then they throw in a couple others for good measure. Actually, one other for good measure. It's, oh my gosh, I'm going to butcher the name. Anjanu Ellis from Lovecraft Country.
Anjanu Ellis, yeah.
So, I get it, but it also is kind of frustrating a little bit. But I guess when you're looking at performances, you're not looking at the shows that they're a part of. So it should rest on the performances. I'm with that. Nice to see A.D. Bryant with 2 this year, which was really wild. I love A.D. Bryant, and her show Shrill I think just ended with season 3. Or
just ended with season 3, yeah.
And it was a delight. Still so one of my favorite scenes in that show is from the very first season. She's at a pool party and she's, a larger woman, and she's with larger people, and she's just dancing and having the time of her life. And it is one of my favorite scenes of television in the past decade. Pumped for that. Also seeing Kenan get nominated for his show Kenan for lead actor in a comedy series was pretty fascinating to me.
He's probably going to win, but not for Kenan. He'll be winning for Best Supporting Actor. There's no real... for SNL. This is going to be, it's stupid to say this. I'm going to say this word, but it's not. It doesn't mean it in the same way it means it at the Oscars. This is going to be a legacy award for him. He deserves it any of the years, but he's just been the tremendous part of SNL this entire time. Yeah. And it's just going to be interesting to see him going up against Bowen Yang, who's the new legend of SNL.
Well, I was just going to say that, looking at Gallica, the Gay and Lesbian Entertainment Critics Association, when we were doing our nominations and then the final voting, Bowen's in there. Bowen is contending in a few, or at least was in the nominations. I know he's up for the final awards. So that's going to be one to watch. It's amazing that not for the first time. I think other SNL actors have won Emmys, but this will be an interesting one to watch because it's just the guy that's been there for 20 years versus the guy that's there for a couple of years, and just going up against each other. It just sounds amazing. Well, and Keenan's going up. I don't know this off the top of my head. I'm going to look at it right now, but he's going up against Jason Sudeikis and Ted Lasso, which is going to be a challenge. That's Ted Lasso is going to be something that just is. It's taken down Best Supporting Actress, and then it's going to be taken down actor and comedy, and supporting actors. The Keenan thing. There's those 4 in Ted Lasso. It's an honor just to be nominated for those 4. They don't have a shot at winning. So we should also mention that The Crown and The Mandalorian are tied for 24 nominations each, or the most nominations with 24 nominations, which is kind of crazy. And we also have a number of nominations for WandaVision, fewer for The Falcon and Winter Soldier. Back to WandaVision, both Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen are nominated for Best Leads in a Limited Series. And Kathryn Hahn coming in with that supporting. Kathryn Hahn's got a shot at winning that as well. I love her. Her biggest, I got to look at just to make sure she was nominated, but her biggest issue, I think, is, let's see. Oh, I got to put this in. She wasn't nominated. I thought the Marielle Heller was going to get nominated for supporting actress. Maybe Julianne Nicholson. You know what? I think Hahn's got it in the bag. If Marielle Heller didn't get nominated, that's a big snub. I didn't realize that one. Oof, I looked that over. See, it's going to be really interesting how Hamilton factors into this. I don't think they have the momentum, but to see that they got the nominations, there's 2 in there, Philippa Sue and Renee Elise Goldsberry, the latter of which is going to be showing up in She-Hulk, as we talked about weeks ago. But what a weird year again.
It's really the hardest thing for me to grasp. There's a couple of, there's a few snubs here and there. One of the really tough ones for me was Ethan Hawke in The Good Lord Bird didn't get a nomination for Best Actor. William H. Macy got one for Shameless, which was like kind of quite surprising because not to, I think his work is probably still great in that and everything, but it's just, he kind of was gone. It went off the grid for a little bit, and so did actual Shameless. And so it was interesting to see him come back in there. But I did have one thing because there was someone on there that bothered me. I mean, Hugh Grant in The Undoing is a very fascinating one. Let's see, Bill Macy. Oh, and that was a big one too because William H. Macy got nominated, and Ted Danson didn't get nominated for Mr. Mayor in Best Lead Actor in a Comedy. Now, not a lot of people have heard of Mr. Mayor. Ted Danson was gunning for the record for most Emmy nominations, which that kind of stuns me that it was Ted Danson that has the record for most Emmy nominations. But I mean, I guess all those years of Cheers and then, The Good Place, like probably brought him there. But Mr. Mayor is something that I think is going to grow quite a bit. And so I think he's really good in that. So
yeah,
I look forward to him getting a little bit further with that one. But I think that's everything from, Ewan McGregor getting nominated for Halston doesn't make a hell of a lot of sense. I don't know what's going on there. Like nobody saw that.
Yeah. Well, it should be interesting when the Emmys hit. What's the date of them again? Do we know? I don't even remember.
I'm going to look it up, but then I'm going to look it up 5 more times because I almost missed the nomination date. So I'm off.
There you go.
Right now.
We just got the question, which reminds us to talk about it. Don Cheadle getting nominated for Falcon and Winter Soldier for a less than 2-minute performance, where I think he says 2 lines. But your thoughts?
I mean, my thoughts are always those are the guest performances. You won't see those the night of the telecast. You always see it's the fun thing like, The Crown got 24 nominations. You're not going to know about like 18 of those. They're all given the day before to like some sort of dinner or something that's not televised. Yeah. Guest performance, what they usually do is like they're sitting in the seat and they give a wave with the Emmy and stuff like that. They get a ticket to the actual Emmys. They're like, oh yeah, Don Cheadle won.
But that's not answering the question of why he got nominated. I mean, like that. I think that's the question here: is why is Don Cheadle nominated in that category when, again, it's less than 2 minutes in a 6-episode limited series, and you have a number of others that I'm sure could have been thrown in there. It seems like it's an out of place nomination, especially when I totally forgot he was even in the show.
I think the main issue there comes from the best way to put it is a very ineloquent term of star fucking. Where this is, I waited for you to raise your LaCroix. Well, this is a situation where, unfortunately, hey, listen, we're going to give a lot of great nominations to great performances. Some of them will be unknown, some of them will be known, and sometimes it won't make sense, and it'll be our best bud, Don Cheadle. And I think that does happen a lot. Now, your pick for a replacement would be Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Not necessarily. That's kind of more of a joke. But, I mean, in that series, I think that's
with you,
a better –
I quite agree with you on that. And so I would even say, like, that would be the same deal. And, I mean, she's no stranger to the Emmys because she won, like, 12 of them on Veep. It gets a little bit tricky for me like that situation. I mean, I guess, yeah, that's true. At the very first start of it, I didn't answer the question, but it's mainly because when it comes to guest actor, I didn't even look at the other nominations. I didn't look at them beforehand. I truly didn't. Like,
I'm trying to pull that up right now just to see who he's up against.
That'll be fun.
And I am missing it real quick. Oh, here it is. Outstanding supporting actor. No, that's not it.
Just be outstanding guest actor.
Ooh, Anthony Ramos got nominated for Hamilton.
Yep. I can't.
The entire cast did.
The entire cast got nominated.
Courtney B. Vance, Lovecraft Country, Charles Dance, The Crown, Don Cheadle, Falcon and Winter Soldier, Timothy Olyphant, The Mandalorian. That's a better one for me. And then Carl Weathers, The Mandalorian, also a better one for me.
Oh, Timothy Olyphant would be great. I think that might. They did him dirty and Justified. They could give an Olyphant now. Oh boy.
And it would be, and if they did that, it would be Justified.
See, that's good. That's good though. That's good. I'm happy that happened. And I'm feeling good for you on that. Solid. Well done.
Thank you.
God, dude, that was good. Pissed.
Let's move into the news that we want to cover this week. A few stories to get to. WB's long in development Barbie movie finally has an update by the way of Margot Robbie's recent interview with British Vogue, where she said, yes, I am starring in the film. And Greta Gerwig of Little Women will be directing. Gerwig and her partner slash collaborator, excuse me, as I belch, Noah Baumbach, Marriage Story, they're co-writing the script. No further details, but it's expected to start production next year. This has been long rumored. It's kind of interesting because I think it's an obvious property that they would want to adapt into a movie. But I have two main thoughts. One is there's so many different directions they can go. Obviously, I do believe that this will be like a female empowerment film in terms of like Barbie herself, which that's what it should be. Number two, they better have the fucking Barbie song in that movie. I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world. Ooh, that whole one, that better be in there.
I like how you had to go a little bit further to the ooh, ah for me to really catch it. I mean, I have to argue, what was it? Aqua. Is Aqua part of Mattel? Have they been able to reach a deal with one another so that maybe a remix could be made?
I'm surprised that they never had a toy where like you like pressed her head down or something and it was like, I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world.
I do not know this exactly, but something tells me
what the words?
Mattel wasn't psyched about that song. Something
it's
tells
fantastic.
me this
Come
is not
on, Barbie.
great.
Let's go party.
Yeah, see, that's not it doesn't seem like that will show up in a Greta Gerwig film. This is the most nuts sort of like news to get, and in the best way. I mean, you find out that a Barbie movie is being made. It's like, of course it is, because they're making a Slinky movie. They're going to make a Koosh movie soon. They're going to make, a Lego movie. Oh, yeah. But they'll make all of these movies with these properties, and, you're okay with it. But the fact that it's going to Greta Gerwig and also Baumbach, basically, and it's one of these things where, all right, so they could take this into a female empowerment. They can take this into will they take this into some sort of situational character flaw type of situation? Because Barbie's a fascinating thing on its own, because it does show female empowerment, and on the other hand, does it really it sometimes shows a superficial nature to femininity. And I look at those two things and I wonder, it's such an interesting dichotomy to go with. Like, Gerwig's hands sound like the best ones for this to be in. I mean, I hope this works. And then you have Margot Robbie, who's just, someone who puts so much intelligence into her performances, whether how big or how small. It's just absolutely wonderful. And so I just wonder, does Mattel realize what they're getting when they're getting Greta and Baumbach? And or is Mattel is this going to be like the first Transformers movie where it's said in big letters, produced by Hasbro? And so is this produced by Mattel? And is this going to be that kind of situation? I truly don't know. I don't know the business behind it, but
I do think that there's a lot of inspiration that they can take for the movie from the run of Barbie over the years. Because when Barbie first started to where Barbie is today and how Barbie has responded to changing societal roles and all of that, there is a real interesting parallel there that I think could be pulled into this. The other aspect of it that's going to be interesting is who it's marketed towards. You would think that it's going to be young girls or teenage girls, but I don't know if that's totally going to sell, and especially with the people that are attached to it. I don't see that being I don't see Greta Gerwig and Margot Robbie being we're going to make a 13-year-old film today. I think there's going to be a little bit more grit to it, but not in the sense of it's going to shut out those younger people. I just think there's going to be more to the film. It's just an interesting combo as well to be writing it, and so I'm assuming there's an idea. There had to be a pitch. Who knows?
Well, I mean, Gerwig is, and so is Baumbach, but I see Gerwig as just expanded artist who, just to do a weird comparison, but Tarantino's I got this idea for a Star Trek film, and he just always has this idea for a Star Trek film. He may never make it, but he always has this little nugget in his head. There's a chance that Gerwig always had this idea for a Barbie film, and then when she started filming stuff, she's like, oh, I can probably pull this off, and that's where this is going, hopefully.
Yeah, what's really funny? Quentin Tarantino is going to adapt that one day, and it's going to be kind of like Zack Snyder, how he adapted. He's like, I have an idea for a Star Wars film, and they're like, we don't want you to make that. He's like, okay, Rebel Moon. So it's Tarantino, right? That has the idea for Star Trek. He's going to be like, I'm going to make flying ships or something, like something really dumb.
Dead Planet Walking.
Yeah, Dead Planet Walking, set up at the the new streaming service, combination of like, I don't know,
the 8 theaters he bought.
I don't know. It's special. It's so special. Quick hit story here is that with the success of the Tomorrow War having smashed, if you will, global streaming numbers last weekend, Amazon and Skydance and Paramount, who was interestingly on board to originally distribute the film, are moving forward. The first film are moving forward with discussions around a sequel with Chris Pratt, Chris McKay, and the general cast expected to return. Interestingly, I did see the actress that played his daughter linked in an article to return, so that would be kind of fascinating to see what they do with that. But I also don't know how much I believe that, because it sounds like it's in the very early stages with like, probably here's an idea of where we could go, and Amazon's probably like, all right, go do it. Like, go write the movie and let us know. So
Amazon, here's another like $3 trillion. We already gave all the rest of our money to Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, we're running on empty here.
We're in so much trouble.
If this doesn't work.
It was so funny because when you started that, you said with the success of the Tomorrow War, and I thought you were like a politician starting like your speech. With the success of the Tomorrow War, we are now able to pass the bill.
For next week war.
That would be great. The day after Tomorrow War. We did that one already. We did that riff. Okay. I look at this and I'm okay with it, obviously, that we both have enjoyed this movie. I wonder when we have the existence of a sequel. And there's 2 ways you can go with a sequel. You can strike while the iron is hot, make one right away, or, wait 10 to 20 years. The 10 to 20 years situation often doesn't work. We're seeing that with a lot of the sequels that we get. But then sometimes the 1 to 2 years don't work. And they may be still in the popular realm, so they're so they're effectively received at that time, but then they're not by the end of it. And so then as time goes back, it doesn't age as well. I don't know how Tomorrow War is going to age. I haven't had the time to know how Tomorrow War is going to age. It's been so long. It's been so short. And the one thing we still actually don't know was this actually popular? I know a fair amount of people that saw it, but there's a lot of podcasts that didn't even talk about it. There's a lot of people that didn't even like a lot of movie podcasts that didn't even talk about it. I do wonder, how popular this is, or are they trying to drum up popularity? There's no way of knowing with a box office. There was a weird graphic that I meant to take a picture of that said highest rated movie. It was like at the top of the Amazon Prime stick. It said highest rated movie. And then right underneath it had like an asterisk from 7.3 to 7.6. Well, I'm like, well, that's not really that great. I mean, that just doesn't make a lot of sense. So I don't know what exactly it pulled in.
Just for comparison, it did 2.41 million households during the 4-day holiday weekend. And Amazon's previous big hit was Borat's subsequent movie film over 3 days with 2.3. So it's, in terms of Amazon hits, like, it's a hit.
That's not bad. Yeah. Like they're very lucky that it was rainy on 4th of July weekend as well.
Absolutely.
But no, I did love the movie, so I'm welcoming a sequel. They can go places with it. I just hope they go the right places.
I would have liked to see a prequel. I'm still going to hold out hope, but with Chris Pratt attached, I don't see that unless they're de-aging him or something. It would be stupid. Not on board with that. Very much on board with Matthew Vaughn's upcoming spy thriller that is being adapted from Ellie Conway's upcoming spy novel, Argylle, which doesn't come out till 2022. So if you read this story last week and thought, I want to read this book, I want to know more, good luck, because you can't yet. This is one of the many manuscripts and unpublished novels or to-be published novels that were picked up by studios during 2020. I almost said 2022. I'm like, nope. Here's the stacked cast in this film. This is insane to me. Henry Cavill, Sam Rockwell, Bryce Dallas Howard, Bryan Cranston, Catherine O'Hara, John Cena, Samuel L. Jackson, and Dua Lipa. I am pretty pumped for this cast. It is very exciting. It follows the world's greatest spy, quote unquote, who gets tangled up in trouble. So Inspector Gadget, here we come. Uh,
Yeah, I mean, I love that plot. A spy gets in trouble. It's like, well, the spy goes out to get milk. Like, well, of course the spy gets in trouble.
Spy grabs dinner.
Yeah, spy, orders in. I mean, when it comes to a stacked cast, I'm always the one that is cynical about it. I see all these people. I love all these people. I'm excited all these people are going to be in a movie. But when there's this many people in a movie, two things happen. Either it gets a little bit too bloated and you can't really understand what's going on, or some of them are like going to be in one scene and that's going to be it. So I'm seeing that a lot of these people are probably going to be killed. I'm just calling it right now. Bryan Cranston is going to be the boss and he's going to be at a desk and he's like, you watch yourself, mister. And it's just one of those things that I just get a little bit, just the tiniest bit annoyed when I see it. There's a lot of movies coming up with the big casts. We got the Don't Look Up is coming up recently with Adam McKay. And don't get me wrong, I'm very intrigued by that. But I'm also thinking that many people, how's this going to go? How is this going to work? These are a lot of big egos. These are a lot of people that want to be, a part of this. Are they just going to kill a bunch of like stars and stuff like that? I mean, I'd assume so if it's a spy movie. But then again, also, here's the thing. It's Matthew Vaughn. Matthew Vaughn has rarely disappointed. I mean, I really don't think ever. Like, maybe the Kingsman sequel was the only one that I really didn't love. I didn't even know if he did that, to be totally honest, off the top of my head. But other than that, I mean, between Kick-Ass and the Kingsman, I'm okay with this guy. So if he wants to do something this crazy, I think he can pull it off.
He did do the Kingsman Secret Service. And I believe he did the Kingsmen too, which is that elusive movie that we believe may have been made and should come out one day. I think it's currently scheduled for December now, which is insane.
Whose trailer has a picture of Rasputin, which is unsightly.
Yeah, it's going to be very special. I'm on board with it. I mean, I think that it could be fun. It does seem like an answer to Knives Out and trying to capitalize in that area. But we'll see where that goes.
They should have released their cast one at a time over 10 weeks then,
Breaking news. Rasputin has joined the cast.
Rasputin's part of the cast.
John Wick Chapter 4 has another person involved. This time in Marco Zaror. He's going to be playing the big bad. So probably not too familiar with him. He was in the From Dusk Till Dawn TV series in a couple of episodes. He played Ajakudi in Alita Battle Angel. And that's pretty much it. So good casting. I mean, he looks the role, to be quite honest. He's just a big brutish guy. He also back in the day was in Machete Kills. And my favorite one, Demi Lovato Confident video short.
There it is. There it is. There's how we know he's got it.
So I am confident that he will kill this role and it would be great. You feel good about moving on that one right away?
I could say a little bit. Just to say that, when it comes to Marco Zaror, I do not know that name. I do not know this person at all, but I did read that filmography that you just read, and he's the big bad. The one thing I'm worried about now is we had a lot of legends in martial arts that were already slated to be in this movie. Now, where are they going to fit? Are they going to be the other fights now? Are they going to be the stepping stones to this guy? I'm not complaining with that. I'm okay with that, but I just that was my one thing that I thought of with this situation.
Yeah, I don't really know what to think with John Wick. I got into a discussion with someone last night about it, and I was kind of on that kick, thinking of movies that are similar to it because of Gunpowder Milkshake and all that. And yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't. I mean, I've said before that they get more and more ridiculous, and they're going to keep making them as long as they're making money, but they're not my favorite.
It's their issue is that they started by exploring this really fascinating world that is just absolutely insane, and then they started to dig into that insane world. And what do you get when you do that? You get pure insanity, and that can be tricky to do when you also want to have this lovely realistic action movie. Realistic to a certain point, of course, but. It's one of those things where they, I argue they don't keep getting worse. I think 2 is their peak. 3 was a pretty tough one to watch for me. Towards the third act, just got boring. Believe it or not, I'm saying that. I can't believe I'm saying that. But yeah, I hope they can find their footing with this one, and it seems like they are with who they're casting and everything.
We're very much third act people right now.
I gotta like maybe like chill a little bit before watching the third act of a movie now or something, because I've been doing this a lot. Like I'm like, third act, nope, no good.
I called it when I was writing a review the other day. I was like, oh, third act again. Here we go. But hey, let's hope that this upcoming movie, a film adaptation of The Wheel of Time, which is in the works with the Thor and X-Men First Class scribe Zach Stentz, will be interesting. I have to admit, I know nothing about The Wheel of Time other than Amazon is making a series of it with whatever pittance is left from The Lord of the Rings.
We're getting 2 Wheel of Time adaptations.
One is The Wheel of Time. It's the series. And then the movie, which is the first of 3 planned, is going to be set, quote, several millennia before the time of the books in a period known as the Age of Legends. I'll just read the quick blip from Deadline. A futuristic utopia powered by a magical force shared by men and women known as the One Power. When an unspeakable evil is unleashed upon the world, civilization descends into chaos and war blankets the globe. When men using the One Power become insane and destroy much of the planet, a small band of women unite under the White Tower and are humanity's last hope of survival. I love a good fantasy sci-fi story, so I'm pulling for this because I really want a more involved world. That's kind of why, I mean, I was excited about the Rebel Moon story because I do like Zack Snyder. I just want him to do better. Be better, Zack. But I think that is another franchise opportunity to really explore a world and build a world that's fantasy / sci-fi. This sounds like it's that way too. It said that it's going to complement the series. I don't really know how I feel about that. But yeah, hey, go.
Like I look at it the same way. I mean, I have not heard of Wheel of Time, but I have heard of people talking about Wheel of Time, and they say that this is an incredibly, incredibly complex and beloved series. So that means that this is going to be a nightmare. But no, it might actually be okay. And genuinely, like it's how it's perceived. I think that Thor was a tricky film, honestly. Like, it wasn't a tricky film once the product came out, but, it was a tricky film opening that up and trying to, like, make this a serious film and make this, like, something that, like, is both complex and simple at the same time. And Thor is a very different movie from what I can see Wheel of Time is going to be. But I think that the writers can pen the certain stories and characters in the same process. So I think there's a way this can work. It always worries me. You can't win, because if you adapt it like page by page, then the thing is going to be terrible, because movies and books are different, or TV shows and books, whatever. Yeah, movies and books are different. And you can't win when you deviate or, just run parallel to it, because then the fans of it, who are your biggest fans, are also not going to be happy with you. So it's really tough when you go for a beloved work, but hopefully you find that tricky balance. What's happening to you, buddy?
Here's some tricky balance, because I got some actual breaking news here.
Actual breaking news.
The director of WandaVision, Matt Shakman, who, as Deadline reports, has orchestrated the series to a 23 Emmy nomination haul, has made a deal to direct the next Untitled Star Trek film for Paramount and Bad Robot. I fucking love that.
That's awesome.
That is great.
Okay, I gotta all right. That's really good. That's really good.
Deadline hears the film will now move at warp speed and begin production next spring. They have a script by Lindsay Beer and Geneva Robertson.
So it was Abrams.
A million people. Oh, the third one. Yeah. I thought you meant
Lynn.
Yeah.
And then, which I thought like Lynn's work was amazing on that. Like, I love that one. And then, oh man,
that's exciting.
This. That's so good. Because, oh man, I can try to put thoughts together. I can't do it.
Well, you know what's crazy? I mean, I had read this when WandaVision first came out, and I was trying to see like what he's done. And he used to do like episodic television, I think. Like he did Game of Thrones. Well, yeah, but like he did Game of Thrones, and was big, but episodic. Yeah. Like he wasn't like the WandaVision director, And then he did episodes of It's Always Sunny, which is kind of a weirder direction to go in that sense.
There's a lot of people that did that to kind of keep their bones from getting rusty. I remember that was a big thing with just directors would come in and do a couple.
Yeah. So hey, I think that's great. I mean, it's nice. It's really cool. This is like heartwarming to me. It's nice to see people on that trajectory in the field, like seeing them actually building and being successful with what they did and getting a hit. I mean, that's a big grab for a movie that
really big
had trouble getting off the ground.
Like I think that now that I'm starting to like calm down from like the news because it just jostled my head, it's great because of the humor that interacted with that sci-fi and the darkness of that sci-fi. But there was still humor there, and that's what these Star Trek movies have. The Star Trek show, I have no idea what it had. People have talked about it in different ways, like how the shows go with the movies. I'm not going to go into any of that. But what I like seeing here is that like this is someone who handles sci-fi. It's not an overwhelming amount of sci-fi, which is good, even though they're in space, but it's still good for Trek. And those movies, and has some whimsy to it. Oh, I love this.
How weird is it that we were just talking about Star Trek?
Yep. Let's find out. Quentin Tarantino's going to be writing it.
So WandaVision's Matt Shakman will be directing the next Star Trek. So that's cool. All right, let's move into our final story. And this is about A24, a studio that we have come to love very much. They have been exploring a sale, according to Variety. The possible sale had them valued between $2.5 billion and $3 billion. So if you're familiar with A24, or if you're not, a few of their movies may be familiar to you. Uncut Gems, The Green Knight, which is coming up.
If you're not familiar with A24 and you're listening to a movie podcast,
The Lighthouse, all of that. So it's kind of interesting to see where that's going to go. Apparently it's not happening right now, and there's no idea or understanding of whether the discussions are ongoing. But I just will note that we did explore, or we explored the sale of the podcast. We talked about MGM exploring a sale back, oh my gosh, over a year ago. Or maybe it was just December. I don't know. But anyway, we did explore that, and there was an idea that it was kind of like not ongoing or whatever, and then Amazon snatched them up. So I think there's always more to the story than we are privy to, obviously, because they're intricate business deals. But looking back at the list of A24 films, what's really fascinating to me is they started back in 2013 in terms of films. They had a good chunk each year, really started expanding. It looks like 2016. 2017 had another good number, 2018. 2019, they had a ton of films. And then looking at what they did last year, obviously it was a different year in terms of the pandemic. They had First Cow, Boys State, On the Rocks, Minari. Two of those were co-distributed with Apple. This year they had St. Maud, False Positive, co-distributed by Hulu, and Zola with Val and The Green Knight already tapped. Val is at Amazon Studios. I think that's the one with Val Kilmer doing something or other.
Yeah.
And then there's a bunch of others that are undated, but they're expected to have 3 more this year. Even with 3 more, they're only at 7 for this year. I wonder if they got too big for their britches too fast.
It seems like that's the case. I mean, let's think about it. Like when you said it in 2016 where they were doing pretty all right, and 2016 is when they won an Oscar. Yep. And that's where all of a sudden, so 2017, you start to become the studio that tries to snatch everything up. And you also become the studio where a lot of like movies are going to you. Mm-hmm. And so you probably go on a bit of a spending spree. Yeah. And so that's what you said. 2017, they had the higher amount. So that could be part of the issue there. It would be interesting what this sale would mean. On one hand, it would mean that they're a separate company owned by some other larger company or something like that. And they still do what they have always done, which is give art house movies a chance to see the big screen or a chance to see the light of day, which doesn't often happen. And, we all say what we want to about A24. Some of us, give it a standing ovation when it premieres at Cannes. And some of us roll their eyes when they see the A24 logo. The range goes from there, but you can't argue that the one thing they do is they show you artistic films that you probably would not have seen any other time. So would this deal cause that to still happen, or would they lose their integrity, or would people just think that and think they sold out? Or will this deal go pretty quietly and not many people will notice, unlike us? But it could be a numerous amount of options there.
There's I'm skimming this article as we're talking about it, but it looks like Apple, quote unquote, kicked the tires on acquisition, which is something that I could see that would make a lot of sense. A24 is declining the comment. But yeah, I mean, it's just another sign of how the industry is condensing. There was a joke earlier that I shared with you before we got on here, but it was saying that Disney should acquire them so Adam Sandler can appear in Avengers 5. So I don't know. We'll see where that goes. I would imagine that they're probably going to be sold if this is out there. That means that people are, having the discussions, but also sometimes when this stuff gets leaked or it is out there, it is to drum up more business and more interest. So,
or they'll smell larger fish will smell blood in the water and then try to poach.
Wonder if Amazon would go for them too.
I mean, I really could see Amazon going for them because those are the type of movies that, you quote unquote don't need to see in a theater. I think you should see every movie in a theater, but you don't need to see those movies in a theater. And so, that would be like a great way for them to maybe even throw them on their little, I mean, Amazon would be like an interesting home for them. I mean, I wouldn't want to see them anywhere, but if they are getting chopped up or not chopped up, excuse me. Oh God.
If they're getting chopped up, they should go to Amazon. That's where I buy my choppers on Amazon Prime. I don't know what that means.
Best I can do is Moonlight.
Oh my gosh. So that's happening. Hey, that's all the news we have. It's been a kind of a quiet news week because Kansas is happening right now.
Yes.
So we should note that there is some news coming out of Kansas in terms of acquisitions we'll be expecting soon, as well as there are a lot of trailers that have been released recently.
I mean, right now at the film festivals, there was an 8-minute standing ovation, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They all get standing ovations.
Which one was that for?
News. French Dispatch.
I can't stress enough how little interest I have in that movie. I will say, God, I'm bringing back my lisp that I got rid of as a child. I will say that Timothée Chalamet was a stud on the red carpet, or golden carpet, whatever. But I have no interest in that movie. Wes Anderson, he is a niche director, and I kind of like cilantro. I'm in the minority that doesn't like him.
Yeah, I keep on trying with him, and his early work is some spectacular work. I really do. And then he started to do his little miniatures for sets, and everyone loves that. Everyone's loving that, but I can't deal with looking at a Christmas village when there's real characters behind him. I cannot deal with that shit.
They're saying that this movie is quote unquote better than Tenenbaum. So, that
makes me furious.
And Life Aquatic was him too, right? I think that's the other one I saw.
That's where he started to kind of go into that direction of just very odd. I remember that was the moment where people didn't understand what he did, and then they started to just like it again. And it sucks because something like Grand Budapest Hotel, I really do love, but it's just there's just parts of it that are just so odd to the point that I'm bothered by it instead of just accepting the whimsy.
Why don't I remember the Grand Budapest Hotel? Is that the one?
Ralph Fiennes plays a playboy type of.
Wasn't there another hotel movie that not Hotel Mumbai?
Tower Heist? Jesus, Hotel Mumbai?
Well, no, I always get this confused with that. I believe it had Judi Dench in it for some reason.
Oh, The Best Exotic Marigold Hotel.
That's exactly what I'm thinking of. Thank you. I knew it was a hotel movie.
Literally hotel movie.
Dev Patel too, right?
Yes.
That was a delightful movie.
I've never seen that one.
Jesus.
I'm trying to watch them all. I'm working on it.
I saw what you were watching today when you posted it. It was a little old.
Scarface. It was Scarface.
There was something else. I don't know.
Tender Mercies.
What?
Tender Mercies.
That was probably what it was.
Yeah, Robert Duvall won the Oscar. He played a drunk cowboy.
Oh, good for him. All right, well, that was fun. Let's talk about what's coming out.
We went the whole way without a tangent.
Did we? Let's talk about what's coming out this week. Escape Room Tournament of Champions shocks its way into theaters. Fear Street Part 3, 1966, which Sean just realized has 666 in it, comes out on Netflix on Friday. Great White, which is another shark movie, hits theater, probably limited theaters and VOD on Friday. Pig hits theaters on Friday. Roadrunner, a film about Anthony Bourdain, hits theaters on Friday. Space Jam: A New Legacy hits HBO Max and theaters on Friday. And The Night House hits theaters on Friday. The Night House has not been promoted much.
That's for Rebecca Hall, right?
Yep. And I reached out to my contact today and was just like, hey, what's going on? They're like, no news. I was like, yeah.
That's a lot of movies for this weekend.
What movie are we going to do our spoiler pod for?
We're not going to do one because I'm going to be away.
Oh, that's right.
I know. Right. We would have probably done Space Jam, honestly.
I was just going to say that.
We'd have to do Space Jam. There's no way I can justify watching Space Jam and not spending time with family. There's no way I could do it for any other movie. I cannot justify it.
I don't know. I'll send a letter. Announcements on July 22nd, trivia night with Guy at the Movies, and the shits I almost said, and the chumps will be Schitt's Creek trivia. So that will be a lot of fun. I started watching Schitt's Creek again because why not? It's like my 17th time. I just adore that show.
It's so good.
It is so damn funny. But yeah, that kind of wraps up our week here. And if you are listening, we hope that you enjoyed this, and we hope that you will subscribe, comment, like, all of the good stuff. Share with your friends. Let them know about us. We do have a new logo, which we were excited to introduce today. New cover art, I should say, which I think better represents that there's two of us on the pod, and is kind of a Siskel and Ebert feel, as Sean says. So,
I'm Ebert, yeah.
I
don't know why that's better.
Who, Ebert's better than Siskel?
I don't know. Who? Yeah, Siskel or Ebert?
Well, it's kind of better than like Statler and Waldorf, which is what I was going for.
That's actually more of us, I think.
That's probably these kids today making their damn Star Wars movies. Space Jam, why do we need that? Back in my day.
Back in my day, we had Space Jam. Shit.
Space Jam. Sean, where can people find you?
Math Teacher Movies on Instagram and TikTok. I do. See, that fucked me up. I do Monologue Mondays, What the Oscars Got Wrong Wednesdays, Final Shot Fridays. I review movies of old and new and television of old and new. Plus, I have a column on GuyAtTheMovies.com called Awards Watch with Math Teacher Movies.
And you can find me at GuyAtTheMovies.com, Guy at the Movies 1 on Twitter, Guy at the Movies on Instagram, Guy at the Movies on the TikTok, as well as we're on Twitch and we're on YouTube. So please give us, again, a like, a subscribe, a comment on all of those platforms. We are excited to bring content to you. I will share once again that Liz from Pop Goes the Movie has been awesome at starting to recap Big Brother. We just finished week one, or we're in week one, I should say, with the first eviction on Thursday. It is an addicting show. If you haven't watched it, definitely check it out. If you are watching it and you want to talk about how crazy even the first week has been, shoot me a DM. I'm always up to talk Big Brother. But that will be coming out Friday. So give Liz at Pop Goes the Movie a follow, and we will talk more.
I'm just looking at these pics of Timothy Chalamet on the carpet.
He's a stud on that carpet. He's a stud on that carpet. Yeah, it's not about peaches anymore. You can listen to us on any of your podcast platforms. And again, like, comment, subscribe. I said that 17 times today, but this is what happens when we are both tired. Sean has a little bit of a cold.
I should say, I went to the walk-in. I'm good. Everybody, push vitamin C, because when you're vaccinated, you're safe from COVID. You're not safe from the cold. So, push vitamin C.
What does push vitamin C mean?
Like have a vitamin C packet.
So use vitamin C.
You push vitamin C.
Take vitamin C. Vitamin C.
Take vitamin C. Push the vitamin C. You never heard of that?
Push means like make people do it. Push it on people.
Oh, well, hey, then you're going to be good too.
Well, that didn't really work for us the past year, trying to push certain things when it came to health. So
maybe we pushed. Well, no, I'm not going to say that. No, we didn't.
Whoops. On that note, see you later.
Hey.